Summer routines live or die by how easy they are, and honestly, if something takes too much effort, I'm out. That's why Groons is my go-to. It's my one daily pack of gummies covering my greens, vitamins, and minerals. Plus, it has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, which is more than 2 cups of broccoli. No mixing powders, no giant pills, no hassle. I just rip open the pack and I'm done. They taste good and they make it easy to stay on top of my health, even when life gets busy. Save up to 52% with the code PODCAST at Groons.co. That's code PODCAST at GRUNS.co.
And now, an ad from Dad.
All right, save money on car insurance when you bundle home and auto with Progressive. Can I take these off? All right. What is this? This looks good. Wow, that's well made. Where did you get this? I'm talking to you with the hair. Yeah, where did you get this? It's good stuff. That's solid. That's not veneer, that's solid stuff.
Progressive can't save you from becoming your parents, but we can save you money when you bundle home and auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Welcome to Hell's Kitchen and welcome to the Russo-Souhan Show. We actually have a number of shows going on live tonight. The lineup is Michael Russo for about 45 minutes tonight, the normal show length. We're going to have John Millay. I'm starting a high school, a preps show with John Millay of the Minnesota State High School League. He's going to come up about 6:30ish, join us, talk some high school hockey with Michael, probably give Michael some crap. And then Barb Abney will do her usual Music from Hell following the shows around 7. So 3 shows coming up in a rapid-fire manner. And then are you with me next week, next Wednesday?
I don't know. We haven't set that up.
Okay, we have to figure that out. But
next I wouldn't mind. There's something I'm going to want to promote next Wednesday.
All right, well, we're doing a show next Wednesday, 6 o'clock at Hell's Kitchen. You might want to be here for that one. And also, you're here Friday with me and Roy Smalley, 5 o'clock at Hell's Kitchen, downtown Minneapolis, 9th and Nicollet, for the Sports from Hell Roundtable.
Good, I can ask Roy how to roll over my 401k.
Roy would know how to do that. Yeah. And it'll be a great night because Michael's always good to have on, and Roy is fired up about the Twins. It'll be before a Twins game. Good time for Twins fans to come down and talk about that team. I do want to thank sponsors. Surly Brewing, Finlandia Vodka, Jack Daniels sponsors the Facebook Live portion of the show. Fixology Repair in the Mall of America, 3rd floor up by Nordstrom's. Twill in the Dining Galleria, twillmn.com. And Crown Bank sponsor the podcast version of the show.
I checked out. The reason why I laughed when you said Fixology is you said Fixology, and all of a sudden I had this recollection of me being in Fixology the other day and my mom bringing in her poodle.
Did you fix the poodle?
And I said to John Hedges, I'm like, dogs are allowed in here, right? You know, so... what a great store, though.
Tell you what, if you can fix a poodle as well as an iPad, you're pretty versatile.
I know. He does everything. I will say John Hedges, and I haven't even told him this, his so to speak, bedside manner is as good as any salesperson I've ever seen in my life.
When we're in bed with John Hedges.
Yeah, his, like, you know, when a doctor goes up to a patient, you just know right away if you like a doctor. Like, he's, so, like, just kind of I was working on maybe transferring some stuff from my computer and onto a hard drive for some ungodly reason. And John was, so while I'm doing this, John is, he was just busier than you know what. And so, just kind of overhearing the way that he talks to customers. Very, very impressive, Fixology. John, very impressive. So
that must be before he has a beer, because he's never nice to me when I come talk to him.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Do you have anything you want to say tonight, Michael?
No.
That's it?
Yep. That's
You're just done? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
My family was in town this past week.
I know. I had dinner with you and your mother and the LaPantas and my wife and your brother and your brother's wife, who's very nice.
Yes, it was definitely a fun night.
We saw Timmy Lauder over there.
Barbara Slade, which is Eric Slahansky's wife, was there as well.
That's right. Yes.
The Super Troopers 2 trailer came out yesterday. That was pretty awesome. Very funny. Look it up on YouTube. I wanted to retweet it. It's probably not appropriate right now for a newspaper account, but absolutely hilarious. Other than that, my family coming to town. I did quit my job this week, Jim, which is out of the blue for some people.
You want to talk more about that?
Not really.
Okay.
No. It was obviously a grueling decision. What date is today? August 30th, so this happened a couple days ago, and the initial courtship with the place that I'm going to started August 1st, and honestly, the offer came in August 2nd. So, it's been 27 days of me, really agonizing over this decision, because you don't leave a place like the Star Tribune unless you really feel like it's a great opportunity. And it was a painful day on Sunday. I absolutely love the newspaper. I love, even today at the State Fair, I'm sitting there interviewing Chuck Fletcher while staring at, our incredible brand identity of, every day,
Sid's
all
face,
day.
you mean?
Yeah, Sid's face. Every day, all day since 1867, and you're sitting there and you're like, man, this was quite the plunge that I decided to take here, and I think the risk, as I will explain next week, is well worth it. I'm very excited about it, but that doesn't mean that that you're happy about leaving an incredibly stable job and a place where you have a large passionate audience that reads you on a daily basis. And that's what you want in this business, is to be read, as you know. And so that was the toughest thing. And so every day this week, there's been those moments when you're like, you look at a newspaper and you realize that my byline might not be in there again. Just the reason I just took an Uber here. Normally, as you know, I walk, and the reason why is because all of a sudden HR called me at 5:00 to go through what needs to happen in the next, 4 or 5 days before my employment's up. And then you're like, wow, this is freaking for real now. So it's been kind of a bittersweet last couple days. I think that once the employment kind of ceases and you move on and look ahead, I'm just really excited about the next opportunity. I think I'm going to have the ability to be part of a team that really that's going to be I don't want to give too much away, because out of respect for the Star Tribune, but I just think that the product that I'm going to is going to be incredible. And I think people are going to be really excited about it. And the one thing I just, again, will say that I've made clear the last couple of days is I am not leaving town. I'm not moving. Not much will change. Still doing the podcast, still doing my radio, still doing the TV. And just, some other stuff will be different.
All right. Well, I know you'll have more to say about that in the future. Let us, and of course, I'm already screwing up the broadcast. You have me all flustered.
You got to turn the radio down, Jim, when you're talking to the...
That's an old school joke, and I appreciate it.
I don't think that exists anymore, right? Is your radio up? So.
Does radio exist anymore?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not even sure.
So. Do you remember when you used to have to call, like you'd call your friend's house and the mom would answer and you'd be like, "Hi, is Jimmy home?" You remember those days?
I remember that.
That the other day. So when I called Chris Miller to tell him I was leaving the Star Tribune, his daughter answered, and I'm like, "Hello, is your dad home?" It was that kind of same thing. So I don't know. I don't know what made me bring that up.
Let's start the hockey portion of the broadcast with a Twitter question, because this is a good way to start. Von Trashinsky, longtime listener, said, elaborate on Chuck Fletcher today. Chuck said $1 million for the new Kaprizov contract, plus you might see him in a year or two, plus a Russian scout as a former CSKA player. Is that a good summary? Does that get you going in the right direction here?
Yeah, I mean, again, the reality is that the Wild do not know what the buyout options are, if there are any, in this contract. Where it's tough for the Wild is that there is an entry-level minimum or maximum that you could pay a player. So Kaprizov knows that his $1 million in Russia the next 3 years is essentially what he'd be making here. There's not like the Wild could pay him more than that to bring him here. So, basically, they're trying to do everything to get to this kid. Chuck Fletcher again confirmed today he's never met the guy. He did fire one agent here, another agent. They just have no communication with this guy. So right now everything is completely up in the air. They're just trying to do some ways to try to get him. But as to quote Chuck Fletcher today, it's like the Iron Curtain right there right now. They have not. There is still nobody in the Wild organization that has had the ability to talk to him. And what's scary for them is that you don't know what's being told to him on the other end. I mean, Kaprizov was apparently quoted as saying the Wild didn't show a lot of interest in me in this summer, which is just, it's not true. They didn't have any way to get to him. They were being fended off from every direction. That's why Chuck Fletcher, very on the record to me, which he never does, made it extremely clear back in the springtime to me in the newspaper that if Kaprizov signed after fulfilling his obligations here, that he would be on the team next year, not going to the minors. He wanted that to get to the kid because it was his only way to do it, and it still wound up making no difference. So it's just an uncomfortable situation and disappointing situation for the Wild.
I'll ask you what else is going on with the team and the league. Do want to thank Twill in the Edina Gallery, twillmn.com. Also check out their Instagram page for really good photos of all the beautiful clothes that they sell.
For most guys, shopping for clothes isn't their favorite thing to do. That's why Scott Dayton opened up Twill in the Galleria 12 years ago. He wanted to create a relaxed, one-stop shop experience for guys. Twill carries many of the best brands in clothing and is the only Peter Millar crown shop in the upper Midwest. Twill carries everything from suits and weekend clothes to shorts and t-shirts, or even a new outfit for the golf course. You can also put your company logo on just about anything there. When it comes to men's clothing, Scott Dayton and his staff have over 100 years of experience. Check out Twill in the Galleria in Edina or online at twillmn.com. And make sure to mention the podcast.
Anything else going on?
No, I got to speaking. Now that I pumped up Mr. Fixology over there, I will say I owe him an email. Scott Dayton sent me a really nice email today. Who owns Twill in the Galleria, and I should probably, or I don't know if you could talk to Scott. If I'll
be talking to him next week. So.
Yeah, just let him know that I'm not leaving town and that the podcast is still running.
I will do that
because I do have to email him back. But I am inundated. It's amazing the amount of emails that I got, and I haven't written really anybody back yet. One, I haven't been able to come up for air here in the last couple days. But two, it's you're kind of I kind of feel like it's not the most respectful thing in the world to, from Star Tribune email, tell these people where I'm going. So I've kind of waiting until everything's official next week, and then I'll kind of give out my thanks to everybody and kind of let them know where I'm off to.
We will take live questions if anybody's interested. We have a microphone right over there. Feel free to come up and embarrass Michael any way you can. What was the mood at the fair like?
With the Wild fans or just people in general?
Wild fans.
There was one guy that came up to Chuck Fletcher that looked like he just came right out of Cheech and Chong's movie. That was kind of funny. I
love the fair.
Yeah, I know. But no, everybody at the Wild, everybody was nice. There was Paris, who I don't know if she's here. She always... She definitely she has 3 questions. She got 3 chapsticks, and she definitely, there is a job opening at the Star Tribune right now. She might want to go for it. She's definitely the hardest hitting. She would be the hardest hitting reporter that we have there.
Yes.
She was very diplomatic in the way she asked, but she did ask the strip the C question, which is one that.
Hey, that's my question.
Yeah, exactly. That's. But everybody was, the people asked about Kaprasov. It was, pretty much all extensive type of thing. And Chuck was funny. Every time I asked Chuck a question that was, like about Dumba and Koivu and Zucker next year, he'd, on StarTribune.com would be like, "So, what are you doing next week?" Things like that. So it was a little uncomfortable.
And what's Chuck's mood? Is he optimistic, or is he just kind of fighting off the demons?
No, he's still frustrated from last year. That's very clear. And right now they're 0-0, so he's a little stress free. But we'll see what's happened. They'll sign Foligno here in the next little while. There has been almost no communication lately, but they were supposed to reach out to them today. And again, 3 years, 275 seems like where this is going to wind up. I don't know what's taking so long. But there's a finite amount of number that the Wild are able to give this guy to be able to run a hockey team this year. So he's gonna. And as I've said all along, I do think that once we get closer to training camp, Marcus Foligno is just probably going to just raise his hand and say, "Just get a deal done." I can't start my relationship this way.
A couple network notes. We had a little trouble with the Viking Update podcast getting it to format correctly. That show is now up at mnspn.com. You can also now find all the shows. We're migrating them over to the Mix Radio, the Mix Sports Radio Facebook page. That's going to be the future home of all the network shows. So you might want to start following there if you want to see all the shows that way. Of course, we'll always be putting them out on social media. You can also subscribe at iTunes, other podcast apps.
Your banking relationship should match your lifestyle. And if your lifestyle is to live well, you want Crown Bank. You want a bank and a banker who will give you what you want and what you need without a hassle. Crown Bank is responsive. From ordering checks to making you a loan, they build a relationship with you that will help you get what you want so that you can live well. Crown Bank. It's a lifestyle choice and the place to do business. Member FDIC.
A couple Avalanche fans here to our left. You notice?
Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for coming down. Appreciate it. We had
just making sure that I'm not going to Denver.
We had a good time in Denver, except for the deadline writing. That last series there.
That is true. Which
Are you going to say it? Are you going to say it?
Which I won't have.
You're gonna taunt me.
I won't have a deadline.
You're taunting me.
Again.
That's great. I appreciate that.
Sorry.
Are there any remaining moves other than just taking care of?
No, not unless something shocking. Chuck did say today that nothing right now impedes and inhibits him from talking to Koivu, but just if all of a sudden Dumba and Zucker have a monster season and you sign Koivu at 3.5, 4, or whatever it's going to be, that could potentially mean that you have to move one of them next summer. So I think they're going to talk to Koivu this month, and I do think that's going to be a storyline in camp because when I sat down with Koivu in Vegas in June, he basically said, I don't want to talk during the season. So that is going to be an issue that's probably written a bunch this month because, because of threat is definitely the wrong word, but of his preference of not, having any sort of distraction like that during the season. The Wild are always going to be in trade rumors, but again, some of the trade rumors are just absurd. Like, I'm tired of the tweets. Like, the Wild are going to be $1 million to the cap after signing Coyle. Just use your own calculator and know that they can't be going after $7 million players. Like guys that can't get a deal done with the Boston Bruins right now cannot suddenly get a deal done with the Minnesota Wild. So, there's certain things that you don't need my help to refute.
When does camp start?
September 14th.
Oh, wow. It's coming up quickly.
Players arrive. That's media day, physicals. That's the day that Bruce Boudreau puts them through his crazy fitness testing. The one where last year, like Pat Cannoni and Victor Bartley couldn't get through, and Bruce was screaming up in the ice, "Don't go dying on me!" Things like that. So, it was funny.
That's also the day I talked to Bruce, and before I could ask him any questions, he started talking about Game 7 losses.
Yeah, I know.
That was funny.
Yeah, now he's going to talk about Game 5.
Yeah. A new topic.
Yeah.
On Facebook Live, you can always ask questions on there when we're doing the shows. From Kyler, he asks, if we missed your Q&A with Chuck today, is there somewhere we can watch it?
What'd you say?
That's from Kyler.
It should be on StarTribune.com.
Okay.
I guess I haven't retweeted I honestly came from the State Fair right here, so I just but I assume that you could replay it on StarTribune.com, and it was live streamed on the Star Tribune Facebook page, so I would assume that it's still there as well. I'm just going right now.
A question from Joe Durand, your favorite food on a stick?
I haven't eaten any food on a stick.
I don't either.
What did I didn't eat any. No, I had turkey without the bun today. Juicy turkey.
You're decadent. You're absolutely decadent.
Andy and Claudine, who were gracious enough to come to another podcast, were at the State Fair yesterday, and next thing I know, I'm like drinking wine and beer and stuff that I've never done at the State Fair. So yesterday was not the healthiest day for me since the day before.
Your mother says hello on Facebook Live. Also, Barbara always watches. And Kyler asked another question. Chuck said somewhere today that the plan is to use Coyle at center. What's more likely, Eriksson Ek as a top six winger, fourth line center, or in Iowa for more minutes?
Well, I would think that the only way that Eriksson Ek makes the team, if everybody's healthy, is as third line center. I don't think they want to play him at fourth line wing, and we know that Cullen was signed to be fourth line center. So if he is not the third line center, if he's not good enough in camp, they would move Coyle to that position, and then you would start Eriksson Ek in the minors to play big minutes, and then maybe he's up in October or November when there are injuries. So that would likely be the thing. I don't see him. Fourth line center would make more sense to me than third line. Than fourth line wing. At least I shouldn't say to me. That's what Bruce has told me, because he thinks at fourth line center he can massage it enough where he's getting enough ice time, but not at wing. So hopefully that makes sense.
We have a live question. I do first want to thank Hell's Kitchen, Nathan Nicolette, the Power Salad Bar. You come in here and get it to go. It's fantastic. I had lunch here the other day. Huevos Rancheros is my favorite meal. Breakfast all day. Great place to hang out. They've been great to us, so I recommend that. Also want to thank John Hedges, Fixology Repair, fixologyrepair.com, third floor of the Mall of America, up by Nordstrom's. I'm sure John will come up and ask a question later as well.
There are some things in life that you just can't live without. Now, whether it's a special piece of jewelry, a watch, or even your smartphone, you want it in working condition. At Fixology Repair, we are committed to restoring your pieces so that everything works or fits the way it ought to. Watch servicing, chain repair, and broken screen replacements are just a few of the services that we offer at Mall of America. Please visit us at fixologyrepair.com or at FixologyMN on Twitter to learn more. Mention this ad and get a 10% discount on our services.
All right, Todd, fire away.
Yes, good evening. So I was thinking about some books, some hockey books from my youth the other day. Stan Fischler had those books in the 70s, the old face-off books. On the,
I remember those.
Remember those, right? And, of course, they were in my brother's collection, older brother. I was never allowed to touch them. Years later, he gave them to me. They were fabulous. Just got me thinking about, in your case, have you ever thought of writing a book? And if you'd have,
Nope.
what would it be about?
I mean, I am not. It's hard to say this. I think I've said this before. I feel like feature writing I'm really good at, and reporting I'm really good at. But I am not somebody. There are sports writers that love the craft of writing. That is not me. I love the craft of watching hockey, writing about that, doing features. But the spending my entire summer or more interviewing tons of people, transcribing 30, 40, 50-minute interviews, and then trying to craft it into a 30,000-word book or something. It's just, it doesn't interest me. I did an SI for Kids book once, SI for Kids, and I didn't like any part of the process. And so I've had so many opportunities. I had an opportunity to write a biography on a pop star, on a famous singer that's out there now that's still going, and we actually started the process, and then I kind of pulled a plug. I had an opportunity to do a biography on a Hall of Fame right wing that scored 608 goals in the NHL, many for the North Stars. And we talked about it, and then I kind of pulled it. Brian Murray is somebody else that somebody's doing. I will say, that 100 Things Before You Die book on the Minnesota Wild was offered to me, and I farmed it off to somebody that's going to do an incredible job with it, and it's going to be out. His deadline's next summer, so look for that. And I will definitely promote that because I'm mostly glad that I didn't have to do it. So I don't know how you feel, but it's just like, to me, I value my summers enough. Everybody that I know that writes books, when they're in the middle of the actual process, like when it's done, you're totally satisfied. But during the process, it's just a miserable thing. I mean, it just, another thing is like, when we're on the road, this is such a grueling job at times on the road that I want to be able to, at the end of practice and after writing my daily article, to actually go for dinner and have a beer or something and not have to spend all night in a hotel room transcribing or writing or things like that. And so every writer that I know that does these type of books in the middle of a hockey season, they hate it. So I really don't have that desire. Maybe one day when I'm retired and I have nothing to do. But every time
you're going to be a roadie when you retire.
Every time some publisher sends me an email about this, I just say, look, it's not my thing. You couldn't pay me enough. So I know, isn't that...
And the other thing about...
kind of disappointing that a writer hates to write, but whatever.
But the other thing about writing books is, unless you are writing a New York Times bestseller, it's probably less money per hour than anything else you do.
Oh, yeah.
It's not lucrative.
Well, the 100 Things book, it's not worth it to me. And that is a labor-intensive book. I mean, you've got to, I don't care how long you've covered the Wild. I mean, you've got to sit down and interview people. There's tons of stories you don't know. There's tons of, I will say, I think this book's going to be great because there's tons of stories that I haven't been able to get into the Star Tribune, that the person that's writing the book, I told him, this season, if you want to sit down, I'll tell you some stories that you can write, that I'll let you write, that I've never written. So I think it's going to be a very interesting book. So there you go.
Twitter question from Minnesota Sports Girl. I'm going to paraphrase. She's disappointed you're leaving the Star Tribune to sing the national anthem every night.
Yeah, a lot of people will be disappointed about that. So,
tell me about that move.
I don't know. I don't think it's what the press release said. Let's put it that way.
I mean, he's great.
I think this was more a Wild. My impression is this was a Wild decision. That's kind of what
sad.
I gathered today.
Why would you mess with that?
Yeah, I don't know, but but that's just kind of my reading the tea leaves today.
That was my suspicion. I just didn't have any background information on it. But I mean, he's great, and he's. I enjoy him more than anything else they do pregame.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like at all.
No. Well, and a lot of the games, he's the highlight of the game. A lot of the games too.
I did a feeture on him a couple years ago. He's a great guy.
I remember
He was
that.
in the military. He's just a passionate guy. Did the anthem, learned specifically how to do the anthem in French for those games. Canada,
which is very impressive.
Yep.
Another Twitter question from Jake Warren: what are the realistic team point totals for this year? Over under last year.
What they have 104 last year? Is that what it was?
That's right.
I would say under. But I don't know that. But I'm not saying they're going to miss the playoffs. I just think that last year, they were 3 points from having the most points in the conference, and for a long part of that season, up until February 1st, they were playing at a 700 clip or something, and then they died in March. But that's a heck of a pace to keep up here, and I think they're probably a little under that mean.
I mean, the key in almost all sports these days is not necessarily being dominant during the regular season. It's getting hot at the right time. I mean, they were dominant.
Well, that's how I feel. Like there's, like even Chuck said today, the important thing now is just peak when it matters.
Yep.
So if they get in at 7th, 8th, there's going to be those times during the season where you deal with the negativity again, but I don't think anybody will care if they get to, if they start winning rounds. And last year they were unbelievable in the regular season for the most part up until February 1, and then they did right the ship around around April 1st. And then they won one playoff game. So I think most fans, if most fans had to say what their preference is right now, they take a team that peaks at the right time like Nashville than a team that peaked in, October, November, December, as the Wild did.
Agreed. Now, how many years on a hockey beat will this be for you?
This will be my 23rd. It's technically 22 seasons, 23 years, and the reason why I say that is technically the 04-05 season was, so, but I covered the NHL during that year, so.
Does it still, are you still get excited this time of the year?
No, I do, especially now. I mean, my mind is, I've got a list of cool story ideas, and that's the cool thing now is that, I kind of, and this is no slight on a newspaper, but when, you're in training camp and the Vikings are starting and the Twins are in a playoff race, that what they essentially tell you is don't write anything good now, or here are your 3 days that you can do your 45, 50-inch features. And now it's like I never have to worry about that again. And if I want to do a 40-inch Dubnyk story next week, I just do it. And it's in. If I want to sit down with Boudreaux and write a big story on that, if I want to, now I'm really giving away what the heck I'm doing. Yeah. So, but
as you always say, I shouldn't say this, but
like, I will say, hey, I'm willing to write right now for the Strib, and right now, we're just not doing it. So, what I'm spending my time with now is setting up sit downs next week to do big, meaty kind of cool features. So that's what I'm doing right now.
In a couple minutes, we're bringing up John Millay of the Minnesota State High School League. Again, he and I are going to be doing a podcast on prep sports around the state. John's an expert who actually gets out there in the field and travels everywhere and has the mileage on his car to prove it. John's going to come up here. We're all old friends. We're going to talk a little bit. Maybe you guys can talk about some high school hockey. Then Michael's going to take off, say hello to all you fine people, and then John and I will talk more about prep sports in specific. If you have a question for Michael, now's the time to squeeze it in. Otherwise, are you done with travels? Any more trips?
No more. I usually do a Labor Day trip, but I had a feeling this was coming, so I haven't booked anything. So, like I said, Monday I'm doing really what should be an awesome story. It'll run at some point, but kind of, even though it's Labor Day, I'm going to go hang out at somebody's house and kind of get a little into that person's life and do a really cool story, hopefully. And so that's the type of stuff I'm doing now, is just kind of setting the table.
From Luke Young on Facebook Live, does the Wild regret trading some of the second-round picks for rentals now that the prospect cupboard is bare?
Well, Chuck made a self-deprecating pick or comment today about, if you don't know, I like to trade picks sometimes, or I've been known to trade a few picks sometimes. I'm sure, how can you... I know that Chuck, if you had him right here, he would give you the kind of the couch to line, like, hey, they went for it with Hansel and blah, blah, blah. But in hindsight, winning one playoff game, you think that he liked giving away a first-round pick and a second-round pick and blah, 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 blah. Same thing, with Chris Stewart a couple years ago. Same thing the year that Pominville got concussed his first year here. They gave up a bunch of stuff. So, that is why right now, I wouldn't say that, the Wild technically are rated, I think, by the Hockey News with the sixth best prospect pool in the league. But yeah, I mean, it's hard when Greenway's not pro and Kaprizov's not North American pro, and you only have essentially Eriksson Ek, Cunnin right now in there. It definitely seems bare, and that is based on the fact that they have constantly traded picks. I think it's 16 or 17 picks here in the last 3 or 4 years, top picks. So or mid round to high picks. So. Actually, I figured it out recently. I probably have it in my cell phone somewhere. How many draft picks they've traded to acquired since like 2013. Actually, since like 2014 or 15. And it's unbelievable.
Yes, sir.
First of all, good luck going forward.
Need it.
The late season acquisition, Molson and the other guy, you've had a summer.
Molson or Hansel? Are you talking about
Hansel?
Okay.
And you've had a summer to think about it. Was that helpful or was it disruptive? Just based on the results.
Well, I certainly think that disruptive. Absolutely.
Thanks, sir.
Whether they would have died anyway. A lot of people want to say that the chemistry was altered and things like that, and maybe I think there's absolutely something to it. I don't want to say criticism, but my concern at the time, on the podcast was I just think that was the wrong player to trade. I have never been a fan of his. I didn't think that on a skating team that he was going to fit in here. I would have, and then when you see the price of a guy like Patrick Eaves, to me that's the guy they should have acquired, even though he wasn't a center. So hindsight's 20/20, but they were a lot higher on Hansel than I think I was, and so that's kind of the big thing. And then they added Ryan White, and they felt like they had to play him. So all of a sudden, guys like, Jordan Schrader that were in the lineup are taken out. I know they wanted to change the identity of their fourth line and things like that. If you remember, they got absolutely killed by Chicago right before the bye week. I think Taves had 5 points in that game, and I think that scared the heck. It was the worst timing for that to happen. I mean, I think if you ask anybody in that front office, they would say to you that if that game doesn't happen, they don't make that trade coming right out of the... Remember, that was the game before the bye week, and then the day they get to practice from the bye week, they make the Hansel trade, the 26th, I think it was. And what happened? They traded for a checking center because they felt in their heart of hearts, how are we going to get by Chicago? And so they made the move, and so I think that explains it pretty. That'd be my guess. So
we will begin transitioning now from the Russo-Souhan Show to Preps Today with John Millay, which John came up with that name. I like it.
It rhymes.
Welcome, first of all. John and I are going to start doing a weekly Preps podcast. The plan is for the second and fourth Wednesday of every month to do live shows here about 6:45 after our normal Wednesday slot, which will include Mr. Russo whenever he is available to do that. So first of all, are you guys fair guys? You seem kind of like a populist. Are you a fair guy?
I'd like to be more of a fair guy. My wife and I were talking about it. We haven't been there yet this year, and we were trying to think, are we going to make it this year? And optimism
schedule
is
won't allow
not
it.
high.
Yeah.
Especially like now, because now it gets crazy busy, right? I mean, the weekends here, Labor Day is when I'm filling in on the Fan on Sunday. 11 to 1, and honestly, I almost said no just because I'm like, I don't really want to get into the fair and then have to get out of the fair. Like that was all I was thinking. Like it's to me that process. Like today, I'm like, you know what? I'm just taking an Uber. And then actually, I almost regretted that while I waited for the Uber to fight traffic to get to me for 15 minutes. So
I went out there the first night of the fair with my wife because my wife loves that stuff. She loves that kind of food, and she loves watching those kind of people.
Oh, it's great.
She likes
those kind of
She
people?
likes being places where people tell you what they think on their T-shirt. And we got out there, yes, and it struck me because usually the times I go out there it's for appearances. Everything's expense or you have a parking pass, something like that. So $14 parking, I think it's $14 to get in. So you're already up to like $42. You haven't done anything yet. Then you start eating. You may have dessert, maybe have a beer. You could like go to the Ritz for what it costs to go have a Pronto Pup. You're nodding.
It adds up. I've done there. I've been there. It adds up. Yeah, you got to be careful.
There was an irony today as I'm walking around the fair, and I was the one that like all these people are holding just ridiculous food and buckets of cookies and all this stuff. And I was walking around with a bag of coffee. that the Star Tribune
That is
gave
so
me.
you.
So, yeah, I know.
Do you just eat
but
it
there
raw?
was. I mean, it was like kind of like, well, there's my identity right here. You know, just walking around the bag of coffee beans.
What's your bar? I mean, I know you like good coffee, and I know you go out of your way to get good coffee, and you want your Starbucks points and everything else. But if you were desperate, would you drink I don't know, really bad office coffee? Would you just eat coffee grounds if you just had to have the fix?
No.
Is it heroin to you?
No, but I love coffee. I mean, I will drink it. Doesn't matter. Gas station coffee, hotel coffee. It's an issue. I thought you were going to say, what's your bar? When do you stop? And I was going to say, my joke was going to be the first heart palpitation.
Yes, which is not a joke. That's actually true. I've actually told I actually told Smalley on our baseball podcast today your Phoenix Coyotes story.
Oh, yeah.
And he thought I was joking, and I told him, no, go ask.
And you know what's really funny is that tomorrow morning I'm going to get my physical and a stress test and all this stuff. And the last time I saw this the cardiologist was when I came back from that trip, and I did the stress test to make sure my heart wasn't exploded. By the way, I'm doing my physical tomorrow because my health insurance is about to end and I hit my deductible. So I'm like, maybe I should get my physical. I'm the only one that calls the doctor and is like, hey, can I get a physical real quick? A full,
yeah, that's enough. You've said enough. Thank you.
So
few more.
Charge as much as you want, just like that.
That's right. Rack it up, baby.
Yeah. Today's been a weird day.
And this has been a weird show.
Yes.
There's no way around that. Few minutes we have with you two together before Michael takes off. I want to hear you two talk a little bit about prep hockey in Minnesota because you're the expert on prep hockey in Minnesota and you are ingrained in the game. But you watch prep high school, prep hockey, and you're into it, and you know people who scout it. Is it every bit as good as we think it is? Minnesotans think it is.
I don't know who would disagree.
Yeah. You have a national perspective.
Honestly, I'll be honest. I need to see it more. When I went out to the Debuty League and watched Casey Middlestat play, I was like, holy, I cannot believe that this guy was playing high school hockey. He's a star. I can't even believe that a stupid pull-up is what caused him to drop in the draft. I would have drafted him way high.
You know who else? Who couldn't do push-ups coming out of college?
Yeah.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah. First of all, and it's he's got 2 years to get stronger. He's going to the U. Okay, he didn't get drafted to play pros right now, and he's not in bad shape. You look at him, he's not. It's not like he's in bad shape. He's just not strong yet because he was in high school. So now he's gonna get on the U strength program with their incredible strength coach there, and he'll be ready to be in the pros. But man, he's a heck of a player, and you see that throughout, and it does remind me of when I made my mark covering high schools in South Florida. I covered it for 5 years before I got a pro beat, and the other day Anquan Bolden retired. I covered him in high school, and it reminds me of that type of fandom and the incredible players that are all down there.
Yeah, it's nuts. State hockey tournament. There's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Jim and I talked about that a couple weeks ago, how reporters who've covered Indiana basketball and Texas football go to this state hockey tournament and say it blows them out of the water. Yep. They've never seen scalp tickets for high school sporting events.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is nuts. I remember the only thing I can relate to it from Florida perspective is two things. One, I covered Travis Henry. He broke Emmitt Smith's state rushing record in Florida, and it was the state final that he had a chance to break that record. And so at the game, which was played in Gainesville, it was nuts. It was out of control. And then the other one was a state final that Vince Carter was in Tallahassee. It was going to be his last game, and it was kind of the same thing going into that Tallahassee auditorium. I can't remember what it used to be called, where the Tiger Sharks used to play. And the people outside, it's the only time I've seen for a high school event people basically scalping tickets. It's pretty awesome.
Now, if Apple Valley gets to the boys' state basketball tournament last year, we had this with Tyus. It's going to be the same thing with Trey Jones. Crowds will be much bigger because everybody wants to see the superstars. Basketball, hockey, whatever it is.
Yeah,
they want to see those kids.
Yeah, and I will say, I had cousins that went to Minnetonka, and during the days of Jake Gardner being there, Max Gardner, all that, and so I got to watch that, and it was my first. I remember sitting with like it was Andrew Prochnow and Mike Prochnow, and I'm sitting there watching, and Andrew had a hat trick one day, and I'm up cheering, and I realized it's the first time that I've ever cheered at a sporting event, probably, since I was a child. And but I will say the one thing I couldn't get over about seeing high school hockey is how absolutely physical it is. It's almost scary physical. Which, I mean, do you find that in terms of?
Yeah, well, it was toned down a few years ago with, we kind of jumped the whole nation in hockey rules and really made it tightened up on things.
Mm-hmm.
We in our office, we put together a video. We got a hockey team. We're going to demonstrate some things. This is how these penalties will now be called.
Right.
And I think it's safer than it used to be.
Yeah.
Hopefully, like all sports, but it's rough. It's rough and tumble, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you can get out of here now.
All right, thank you.
You can leave.
I appreciate it.
You have a final thought?
No.
He never has a final thought.
Next podcast, I'll.
So we're tentatively planning 6 o'clock next Wednesday, right here at Hell's Kitchen, the Russo-Souhan Show.
It's going to be me next podcast. Please.
Well, actually, follow us on social media about next Wednesday. I need to talk to Hell's Kitchen about the availability. We might be off next week, but September 13th, I think, is the next definite show for John and I, and probably for Michael and I. Michael says it's not good for him.
But maybe we do one from your studio. Yeah,
we will do the studio, and we're actually getting a real studio here soon too.
Really nice.
Mike, on behalf of the Minnesota.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I'm living proof. There's life after the Star Tribune, and there's a hat.
Somebody else
Jim
just
awesome. I'll take it.
Somebody else just wrote me the same exact email today. That just I'm living proof that you can have a good life after the strip.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's the case. It's obviously a scary thing.
Right. I worked
scary but exciting.
At 5 newspapers and never thought I was able to do anything else. Yeah. Lo and behold, other things can happen.
I will say that's my final thought. I feel like I'm a newspaper man. I delivered papers when I was a kid. I've worked for a newspaper now since 1990, so 27 years. And so that is the scary thing. I've in the last couple of days when veteran sports writers have set up another one leaving the ink stained part of it, that's scary when you kind of delve across into the, kind of, I guess, the new wave of the internet.
Well, I just know
what they call it.
I just know I'm never speaking to you again, so you can leave now.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Russo pranks are the best pranks. Thank you, Michael.
Pretty little city built on a hillside. Music in the bars and fire in the sky. We went to the beach and it was covered in ice. And I used to call it home. So much coming out, there's nothing going in. I know that you feel like you're never gonna win. Oh, but the world won't forgive a winner.
They call you the Grill Master. You've seared the thickest porterhouse in the butcher shop. And as you lift that first forkful to your mouth, you savor the moment. To get amazing offers during the Mercedes-Benz summer event, like the 2019 C-Class sedan and GLC SUV, the perfect recipes of driving performance. Plus, you can enjoy 6 months of Sirius XM All Access included. The Mercedes-Benz summer event, now serving limited time offers on a select lineup of vehicles. Offers end September 3rd. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
Excuse me, Captain. This is your wake-up call from the new TracFone Wireless.
What's that now?
What if you had to fly this plane while sitting back in the cabin?
I wouldn't have any control.
Well, that's what it's like going with some wireless companies, but TracFone Wireless gives you control. Get unlimited talk and text on America's best 4G LTE network starting at $20 a month, no contract. Plus, unlimited carryover data with active service.
That's cool, but how'd you get in my cockpit?
This is your wake-up call, people. The new TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. See terms and conditions at TracFone.com.